What's up, everybody? We are here to talk a little Georgia Tech today, how they rank amongst the ACC. Are they coming in with something hot with Coach Key? More importantly, where are they headed? Are they headed in the right direction with 2024 recruiting? Can Key stick around long enough to let the Yellow Jackets finally fly and do it the right way? Talk about all of that on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack each and every day. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to the pod on your audio spaces as well as our YouTube channel. We got 1,000 subscribers with 2,000 sounds even better. We are in the football mode for now. We have schedule reviews. We have two more teams to review. Georgia Tech is up today. Virginia will be later this week. Make sure you guys check out our 2023 football schedule playlist on YouTube. You can catch up. You can listen to our thoughts on everybody's schedule, where we think they'll land, but more important than that, how they'll fare within the ACC that now has no divisions. Our coastal teams are getting a bad rep, but maybe, just maybe, they can throw themselves in the rankings of having a pretty darn good season. I'm the coastal girl, Ken's the Atlantic guy, so we'll see how it is all said and done. And Yellow Jackets are certainly going to start out hot for this season. Kenton, how are we feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm ready to get into this schedule because, and not only their schedule, but certain aspects about Georgia Tech, because some people are going to be surprised out of hearing this episode. They'll be surprised out of what we think in comparison to what they are probably assuming we're going to say about Georgia Tech today.
100%. We all know Georgia Tech coach Brent Key, the head coach there, Buster Faulkner, offensive coordinator, and Andrew Thacker, the defensive coordinator for the program. They are coming off a year where, didn't quite go as planned. I'm sure Coach and Jeff Sims certainly had a way of words about where his final destination was going to be. It certainly is not in Atlanta still. And now you have a new program ready to go with a future set on taking on Louisville out the gate at the Chick-fil-A kickoff in Atlanta with some Friday Night Lights, September 1st.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to be a really good game to see. It's going to be a barometer game for both teams. Like, let's be very honest.
Already?
Yes. And I say that already because these are two teams that I believe that Georgia Tech is much closer to being good than most people think they are.
Are they closer to being good than Louisville?
I'd say they're at about the same plane right now. And I know people are going to jump down my throat and tell me how Brown's the future and Key's shown nothing. Key took a team that started off 1-3 to 4-4. Not only a team that started off 1-3 to 4-4, a team that had not won 4 games in a season in the last 4. In the last 4 before he took over as head coach, to 4 wins in 8 games, including some massive upsets. Some games that had people coming up out those pockets, having the bunny ears, telling the kids ain't gonna be no criminal. What criminal? We bet against Tech. So, with that being said, I think that these teams are at about the same level, and this game will be a very good level-setting game for both teams, I believe.
I think that this is a Georgia Tech team who put the nail in the coffin for Drake May's chances at being in the Heisman conversation or even getting an invitation to New York. This is the same Georgia Tech team that stuck with Key after a season of being interim and really buy into what he's selling. Certainly it's easy to buy in after the Collins era. Shout out to my guy, Jeff Collins. He did all he could, but it's another story for another day. I think you have two head coaches that both have ties to their respective programs, playing for them or being attached and coaching beforehand or being a part of that program in some way, form, or fashion. So everyone is very passionate in each fan base about where they want these respective teams to go. So it'll be a great testament to either have patience with this program, whoever comes out with the W, or it's one where here we go again if the other seems to when the other falls.
I don't care what nobody's saying. Y'all probably gonna jump me for saying this, but I don't care. I think that Georgia Tech is gonna be the better team, and I think that they're gonna win game 1. Coach Key is not decent, is not good. The show that he's put on so far has been nothing short of phenomenal. phenomenal. So for reference, because it's easy to hear me say, oh, Georgia Tech won 4 games in 8 games, and that's impressive. No, baby. This ain't just 4 and 4 in those last 4 games. This is 4 and 4 with 2 wins over ranked teams.
Very true.
Like this isn't 4 and 4, and we're looking at, well, of the 4 wins, only one of them came against a team that was never ranked at any point in time in the season in Virginia Tech. They beat Pitt, who was number 24 at the time playing them. They beat Duke, who I believe was Duke ranked last year. I feel like they topped out at 25 or 24. I could be wrong there.
25 maybe, yeah, but I think that's aggressive.
So I'll even take Duke off the list. Mm-hmm. They still beat a Pitt team that was 24 when they played them, and a UNC team that was 13 when they played them. If you're talking about what this man can do, Key is the guy for that team. He's the guy for that team, and that team trusts him. They believe in him. They want to play for him. They want to run through a brick wall for him. And I don't know what it is about, I always say it's not your X's and O's, it's your Larrys and your Joes. Well, Jeff Collins did his best to show me that saying is invalid, because the minute somebody else took over in those X's and O's, the Larrys and Joes start looking amazing. Larrys and Joes start looking amazing. So I really and truly, I have more faith in this Georgia Tech team than most people would probably say I should, but I don't care. I'm sorry. The history is there to say that unless this team just magically mustered up a run that nobody could have saw coming at the end of last year, I mean, there were no games that they were supposed to compete in, that they were supposed to be close in, that they weren't. And so, that's just my thought there.
Well, it's Friday Night Lights. It'll be in Atlanta. It's the first game of the season. It's Chick-fil-A kickoff. It's all the things that builds for a good win for Georgia Tech. So we're going to give them that nod. Sorry to our Louisville fans. But, of course, you can fight back in the comments at YouTube. We know you love to do that, and we always appreciate the tussle. They'll kick off their next matchup on September 9th against South Carolina State at home once again. So you start the season 2-0. You're feeling yourselves a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that this is one where they're going to run South Carolina State up out the building. That's okay. That's all right. More power to them for scheduling a HBCU for that game where we're going to whoop the wheels off you, send you a paycheck, and send you on your way.
100%. Now, this is when it gets a little dicey. You got to travel to Mississippi. You got to play Ole Miss at Ole Miss on September 16th. And you say, this is where the proof is in that pudding. You're going up against an SEC foe. And you're trying to tell yourself, all right, if we can go up 3-0 or at least put up a 2-1 fight, we're still not a bad program.
And here's the thing. Anybody who expects this game to be super close, why? Last year, this game, now granted, it was coached by Collins. This game, they have a 2-game series, these two teams. The game last year was 42-zip Ole Miss.
They whooped the wheels off of them for sure.
Ole Miss scolded them boys. They whooped them like they stole
Key's team. Let's be fair.
And I agree, but I'm saying if you think that this game, I think that Key is a really good coach. But even last year, there were certain games where it was just clear. Y'all are outclassed. You don't have the horses in the stable to compete. And so with that being said, this is a game where, despite Key's best efforts, I think they'll be outclassed.
Week 3, people are still somewhat healthy. You have a position where I think there will be more offense than we've seen in the past. So I'm going to say it's a loss, but it's a better loss than we saw last season. That's all.
Absolutely. I think that 42-point gap closes significantly this year.
It's a progressive loss. Talk about September here. Well, they'll go against Wake Forest, an ACC foe, an Atlantic foe at that. So when you talk about two teams who have sort of been in the middle of the pack for their respective divisions, Georgia Tech and Wake Forest. Wake Forest certainly have been maybe a little bit better, but now you got to go up against it. You got to get that W if you want to have any sort of contention towards ACC championship.
I hate to say this again in terms of this being so early in the season and keep saying this for this Georgia Tech team, but this is another game where it's like, how good are we? How good are we? And not only how good are we, how mature are we? Because I think last year we saw some of the signs of immaturity late down the stretch. How do you beat Pitt, beat Duke, and then lose to UVA?
It's fair.
How do you do that? But that's a sign that team was not mature and was not ready to handle success and say, hey, we're winning now, but we can go about winning and preparing the right way for the next game. In this situation, you're probably going to be coming off a bad loss, or you're going to be coming off the upset of the century. How do you prepare for the next game?
Sure.
In which this is a team that is very equally yoked to you in terms of skill, in terms of ability, in terms of what they have in their layers and Joes and what you have in yours.
Mm-hmm.
How do you prepare? How do you get ready? Do you have the right mindset coming into that game? Coaches, do you all have the right temperament? Because it's not just about, I mean, like I said, we're talking about the team that the coaching change completely shifted everything in the atmosphere. So how do the coaches prepare coming off of that Ole Miss game? You know, it's going to be a sight to behold. But honestly, I think that this is one of the ones where it kind of shows that this team is a little immature, and I think the Wake Forest walks away with this one.
Interesting enough. You're definitely going to have to play a dang near perfect game. We know that Wake Forest and Coach Clausen's teams are very much disciplined. They make few errors, but you're going to have to capitalize on them. Will this defense be able to step up in big ways? Maybe we'll need a special teams performance out of the water. Let's end the September thing. So we're 2-2 right now. The Bowling Green, which I think you go into September feeling good about a 3-2 record.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Bowling Green is a team, prolific passing game, all that stuff. Great team out of the MAC. Well, good team out of the MAC. I believe they were in a bowl game last year. I want to say that they were in the MAC championship or might have missed by a game or two. Could be wrong there. But that's a good team out of the MAC. But they're still a group of 5 team. You need to handle business here.
100% agree. We're going to talk through one of our good friends, FanDuel, as we try and figure out some more of our fun things that we have in the MLB world. Take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right, just $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to over under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon for $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel is the official partner of Major League Baseball. Kenton Gibbs here, Locked On Wolfpack host each and every day. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. This has been the June month where we get a little break, so there's only 13 episodes for the month, but we still try to give you as good as we can get while also giving us a little reprieve. We do this year-round every single day, so we always appreciate y'all's feedback and also letting us have a little bit of a break. 2023 football schedule playlist is right there for you in YouTube. If you have not found it yet, I promise you're doing yourself a disservice because you get to get our opinions on every single team. We got 2 left. Georgia Tech is on deck right now. Virginia will be at the end of the week, but make sure that you tap into all of our episodes there on our YouTube channel and subscribe while you're at it. Now, the Yellow Jackets start out October at Miami, a former Coastal foe, where a Miami team that we have argued is getting better. They have horse in the stable. They always have horse in the stable, but this Georgia Tech team we're saying might be just a little bit better than we want to give them credit. Now, when you go up toe to toe, you know, in this league right now, you got to win your conference games if you want to have any sort of inkling of being in the ACC championship. You got to win it. Do the Yellow Jackets beat the Hurricanes?
This is tough. Because, I mean, these are 2 teams that have had very inverse fates, right? Like we're talking about a team that, I mean, the ballers, you cannot name a single year where there isn't a Miami guy being one of the best in the NFL. But you're looking at a team that just the production just hasn't been there in quite some time. And you're looking at a Georgia Tech team that's trending in the right direction. They're saying all the right things and all that. Can they compete here? How cohesive is Miami? Coming off of last year where, you know, midway through the season, Mario is telling parents, come get your boy. If you want to talk about him on Twitter, on Facebook, and how bad I'm treating him, come get him. Trust me, I'll give him back. You can take him. You can send him on his way.
He would never.
No, absolutely not. This is a question of where is Miami going to be in at this point in the season, and I think Miami is just hitting their stride enough to pull off a close victory here, a close victory over Georgia Tech.
See, I think this is definitely more of a all right, Miami, what we really doing here game than it is for a Georgia Tech. Let's see if there's any improvement involved. Like Miami, this is not want to say a must-win game, but if you want me to take you seriously against a decent Georgia Tech team, pulling off this win is almost critical for you.
No, I agree. It's a must win. I'll say it's a must win because you can't, unless you're having a phenomenal season and this is just a one roadblock on the way. Like, all right, sure, we'll let you have one, whatever. Everybody gets a mulligan. But if you're having an up and down season in your Miami and you lose this game, folks are going to start asking questions, Mario.
Yeah.
Recruits are not going to like losing at home to Georgia Tech, despite the reality being better than the perception.
Right.
The perception is still the perception. And that which a man think he is, or that which other people think the man is in terms of recruiting, that which they are. And so, I think that I think that Miami pulls off this win, but by the hairs on their chinny chin chin.
100%. All right, so now you got at 500 even Steven for the Yellow Jackets. They then have an open weekend, but then go home to face Boston College on October 21st. Now the Eagles, they've been having a tough go. They are not going to be the miracle story. I truly believe that they probably want to. However, they are doing, some sort of progress when it comes to trying to get a quarterback, trying to find some offensive line. But this is where you say, when it comes to improvement scales and where we want teams to be and what I'm looking at as an AD, I give it to the Yellow Jackets over the Eagles.
A lovely 3-game stretch. A lovely 3-game stretch. Beautiful gowns. Beautiful gowns. Oh, what a time it will be to be a Yellow Jacket in this time, because I see these games coming up here. I look at this game and I'm saying to myself, well, when you talk about what Georgia Tech is going to be next year and you look at what Boston College is going to be, again, two teams trending in opposite directions. I don't think that Boston College is going to be significantly better than they were last year. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Where is your firepower coming from offensively? Don't get me wrong. The receiving core has some studs, but I just don't see it outside of them to say that anybody is special. And I like their quarterback a lot. You need your big boys to be good.
Yep.
Can we trust Boston College's big boys? Which seems ironic. It seems crazy to say, can we trust Boston College's big boys? But that's where we are in the world now.
100%. Yeah.
And even defensively, what do we see there? So I think that Georgia Tech starts to hit their stride and takes these boys out to the woodshed.
Yeah, and I think this is even more so a confidence booster as they go into October 28th in their October schedule against North Carolina, a team that they have pretty much had their way with for a good amount of years. Now, mind you, no matter the schedule that Georgia Tech has in front of them, they could be 0-20, and they still somehow find a way to whoop the wheels off of North Carolina, especially in Atlanta. But they also did it in Chapel Hill. So I feel like this is one where either North Carolina wants to find his look back, or Mac Brown has got to answer for what Yellow Jackets have on him, because he can't figure it out.
Well, get ready to get the answer, Mac, because I think that this is a game that goes to the Golden Jackets. But I'm the Yellow Jackets.
What?
I don't know why I keep calling them Golden. I don't know why I keep doing that.
This is a game Hall of Fame on the brain.
This is a game that goes to the Yellow Jackets.
Kenton, come on now.
I hear you. I hear
right.
you. I think this is the game where they submit themselves as better than everybody believe they are, because, like you said, they have historically had UNC's number to begin with. But even beyond that, I see two realities for UNC this season. I see them being worse than everybody thinks that they're going to be, or being on pace with who everybody thinks they're going to be. But even if they're on pace for who everybody thinks they're going to be, the reality is they're known for dropping one that they shouldn't.
Drake, Drake, I need you to fight back, bro. I need you to have I need you to be like, this is the reason why I couldn't go to New York, and you put that whole team on your back and you do whatever you got to do. That's what I need.
Well, Miss Vicky Green, a wonderful teacher, one of the greatest educators of modern times at Cass Tech. Love her dearly. She told me a quote that I'll never forget. The best predictor of future behaviors is the past. And in the past, Drake May has struggled against them Yellow Jackets. He ain't looked too
played them once.
You just said Mac Brown has had his struggles against those Yellow Jackets. And yet
Carolina's been struggling against some Yellow Jackets since they had a triple option. So I just don't know what to tell you.
So they were struggling back when Paul and company was rolling. And Shaq Mason was there. Come on now. We got to bring out the names now. Okay. when Tashard Choice was there, they were struggling, and now all of a sudden we think, oh yeah, they're gonna figure it out this game. I don't think so. I think
Hell,
that
a Megatron problem, but
I
who's
think
counting?
Megatron and Reggie Ball, what a combination!
Who's
What a
counting?
two future Lions, what a combination! Oh, love it.
Who's counting? It's fine. So we'll give that to the Yellow Jackets and we'll move on into November, which will certainly be a time for the Yellow Jackets as they've got a nice big slate here. And they think that it's ultimately going to come down to just a want-to factor for them, right? So you start out November 4th against Virginia. Give them the Yellow Jackets looking pretty good right now. Only 3 losses on the season.
Did I not tell you this was a phenomenal 3-game stretch? A phenomenal 3-game
great stretch.
A 3-game stretch that works out great for them, not only because of who these teams are, but because of where they are in the season. At this point in time in the season, you are going to hit your toughest games at the end of the season, but by now you built up some buzz and some support.
Yeah.
By now, when you get to these tough games, the fans are going to want to be there. They're going to want to show out. They're going to want,
Yeah.
And that's just the reality. Not to say it's going to help much, but it's nice to have.
Turning heads for sure. Then November 11th, you'll face off against Clemson, and it'll be a hey, thanks for playing, or it's closer than you thought, or hell, it could be one of the biggest upsets of the season. It could be a hurdle for Clemson to be the outright ACC champion, and could give Florida State a little leeway.
Yeah, I just think this is another one of those where you're outclassed. I think that there's only but so much that Coach Key can bridge that gap. There's only but so much, and at a certain point in time, your talent has to take over. Which, I don't think it's enough there.
1,000%. November 18th, they'll face off against a Syracuse team. Will Coach Baber still be there by then? Lord only knows. But I just have this feeling, that they're going to be able to pull out a W, and that's for the Yellow Jackets.
I agree. I think the Yellow Jackets pull this game off. Whether or not Coach Baber is there, I think that if Syracuse has a surprisingly good season, I still don't see them winning this game in particular. I think that the Yellow Jackets pulled this one off in close fashion, and I think going into that last game, they're going to need a little bit of a morale boost, and it's at home. I give Georgia Tech a slight edge here.
They'll end their season against the good old friends there in Athens. It's been ugly. It's been brutal. It's been disgusting, right? I'm praying and hoping that this one is not necessarily close by any means, but certainly, one where it doesn't look varsity versus JV.
Do you know the name that they call this rivalry?
No.
It's called clean old-fashioned hate. Georgia Tech fans are going to have some clean old-fashioned hate for the result of this game. The Bulldogs are going to roll. Georgia and folks.
Now, are they going to roll because the same way you said about Clemson, they just don't have the same sort of Jimmys and Joes, superstar. It doesn't compare.
It's not there.
It's just not there. Compare.
It's not there, but that's not to say that it'll never be there because Coach Key is turning heads on the recruiting trail. He really and truly is, and that needs to be noted. So
absolutely. Okay, so we end them with a loss, but still a great, solid season, right? You lose to Clemson, you lose to Wake Forest, you lose to Miami, you lose to Ole Miss. 4 losses on season. That ain't bad for a team that's still trying to figure things out. So we say.
And I'll tell you this much: I'm not even sure if they lose all those games. I'm not.
And those are toss-ups.
If somebody was to tell me bet my house that they lose all of those, I wouldn't be able to do so. Now, if you said just Georgia and Clemson, I'll give you those two. You can book those two. Sure as the sun rises in the east and sun in the west. And I believe that they're not prepared to be a 10-win team yet. So I think that they lose a couple of those. I'm not sure that they lose all of them. I'm not sure.
Georgia Tech going from 5 wins last season?
Yeah.
To 10 would be insane.
I don't see 10. See 10.
That would be an Elko Coach of the Year type jump.
Oh, if they win 10, Key needs to be the Coach of the Year. I see that they could get to 8 with a bowl game. 8 as in they win the bowl game as well, finish 8-5. I can see that for this team.
Come on, Spades. All right, cool. Got it.
Yeah, I can see it.
8 in the possible. Okay.
8 in the possible.
Got 8
listen,
books.
This team, I think that every year there's one team that jumps out the face and everybody is like, oh my God, what happened? I think that this Georgia Tech team is this year's team. I think
Last
they're
year
the
was
team.
Duke. This year might be Georgia Tech. I hear you. Now,
Yeah.
what's exciting about this is the 2024 recruiting class is certainly one that Key has been making waves. He is slowly but steadily building up an army down there in ATO.
According to 24/7, according to 24/7 Sports, they have the number 25 recruiting class in the country. And in terms of the ACC, you have well, Notre Dame technically doesn't count, but anyway, you have 1, 2, 3 teams in front of 4 teams in front of them. So fifth best class in the ACC, 25th best class in the country. That'll work. That'll work. That'll be in a series, in a situation where the games that they're losing, I'm saying that they're badly outclassed.
Yeah.
That'll help. That'll
Definitely
help. Getting the recruiting class like that, getting recruits like CJ Jackson, who has offers from Alabama, LSU, Auburn, and Clemson. He's the type of edge rusher with that twitch and all that good stuff. He's a guy that could obviously stand to put some weight on his frame, but I mean, what high school edge rushers couldn't? And with that being said, as he and the rest of that class develop, get better, and Coach Key gets his hooks into them and gets them to buy in and want to run through a brick wall for him as well, they could be something special down there.
Now, they gave Coach Collins a good little minute, right? They gave him a nice little time to figure things out. It really didn't work out, and there was just evidence of that year in and year out. We say they could potentially win 8 games. We have a strong 2024 class.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving, we're going to give this man a little time. Right? Risk giving, if we have some sort of success, we're going to propel ourselves to saying, I would argue, at least 5 years.
Oh, absolutely. Any coach that has a modicum of success at Georgia Tech is going to get some time. And that's not disrespect to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is no different than the vast majority of college football teams. For example, when Dan Woken said, oh, Dave Doran just got a big extension from NC State, that proves that NC State is happy with or NC State will pay you if you win 8 games a year there. And my immediate rebuttal to that was a vast majority of NCAA football, there's literally about 15 programs where 8 games a year ain't enough. There's even more programs that if you win 8 games a year for the next 10 to 15, they'll build you a statue. With that being said, in terms of what how much time Key gets here, I mean, look at Jeff Collins.
Yeah.
Never broke 3 wins and got 3 1/4 seasons.
Which is crazy.
Never broke 3 wins, not one. I'm sorry, never broke 4 wins, rather. He exactly had 3, but never went over 3 wins, not once in his career. Got 3 1/4. So, mind you, this is coming off of Jeff Collins was their guy that they hired immediately after Paul Johnson in that triple option, who had, I mean, say what you want about, oh, they lost games that they shouldn't. They couldn't get certain types of recruits and all that. That was a 3-time coach of the year. That was a guy who, I mean, in terms of Georgia Tech coaches all time, I want to say he's number 4 in total wins. So, with that being said, I think he's going to have enough of a leash that if he can make this team a winner, he'll have the opportunity to. So he'll get the time. I don't think that there's going to be a problem with that at all.
Give him the time. Hopefully he'll get you the wins. Georgia Tech fans, let us know what you think about this record and all the opponents, all of our ACC friends, Wake Forest, Louisville, North Carolina, Virginia. If you feel a way about how we felt with your team going up against the Yellow Jackets, let us know in the comments. Leave it there. Tell us about, I know Miami fans is going to jump us, but it's fine. We're cool with that. We're used to it by now. We're getting excited for the 2023 football season. Kickoff is right around the corner. We're in July, which is insane, which means there's 60 days until we have ACC football. I know you guys are all pumped about it, so make sure that you download, subscribe, and get that alert so you don't miss any of our episodes. We will be back to give you a little Virginia action before it's all said and done and keep you abreast because we know there's always ACC basketball news. We hope you are enjoying all the episodes. We appreciate you as always. For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs, we hope you have a great and very safe 4th of July. Until next time.